I call him Gavin Newscom. When you think about it, he's kind of retarded. People say he's gay because of the way he moves. You know, he's always doing his weird little dance when he talks, but I don't care about that. I just think he's incompetent and retarded. They say he likes to watch. Remember, his wife had sex with Harvey Weinstein. Remember that? She said his penis looked like a fish. If you think about it, it was probably a small little fish, like a baby goldfish. Anyway, Gavin was probably sitting on his little cuck chair watching, believe me. I call.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman. I hope you all had a phenomenal day. I have a very, very action-packed show. Normally, I'm like spending all day. I'm like, what do I want to be my featured story that I'm going to really spend some time digging into this one? What do I really want to be my featured story tonight? I don't even know. And normally it's like I struggle. I'm struggling. I'm like, I could go this way. It's like, all right. So we get the arrest of the church invaders. I was like, dude, I'm set. And then I'm getting like Jack Smith stuff. Like Jack Smith's testimony. Oh my God, this guy, his testimony, it's so bad. It is so bad. I don't know how he has a career anymore. His career is over. It's over. His career is over. His testimony, what he admitted before Congress today, it's insane. It's insane what he admitted before Congress. The left is trying to portray it's like, well, look, he's saying he's got all the goods. This was a disaster for Jack Smith. This was an utter disaster. And I'm going to walk you through every little piece of it. And then we have this story, which came out today, actually two stories, but one I'm going to really focus on primarily. Just the craziest, most insane lies that the left is trying to tell about ICE, which have been exposed as being utter BS. Plus, I've got a lot of side stories and things like that, things of that nature I could throw it at you. I'm trying to fit it in. I don't know how I'm going to fit it in. I'm just a man. I'm just one man. How am I supposed to fit all this in? I would normally have Jim here. I don't know where he is. I reached out to him. I don't know where he is tonight. It's Thursday night, right? You're like, wait, isn't he bringing Jim in? This is a long intro for like no Jim. Yeah, I'm not sure. I assume he's okay. Sometimes recently he's been busy, so I don't think he's coming tonight. If he pops in the chat, I'll send him a link. I'm happy to have him. But so there's no Jim tonight. It's gonna be me flying solo with you. Unless things change. I don't know. I never know. Sometimes I get like someone will wander in through like the corridors of our live chat there, and I'm just like, hell, yeah, get on in here. Here's a link. Let's go. So that could happen. And if Jim wanders in there, I'll send him a link. If Branka wanders in, I'll send him a link. Who knows? Nate the lawyer could be in here next. You never know. It might be Nick Ricada. Could be Uncivil. Could be anyone. It could be a mix and match. But I'm assuming I'm marching forward as if I'm solo. And if that ends up being the way it goes, that's totally cool. Because like I said, I got lots of ground to cover here. So I'm going to try to get this all in 2 hours. But I do have a goal up there because we like to have the goal. The goal is a good thing. Goals are good. It's part of personal growth. If you have a goal, it just makes personal growth like more attainable. So tonight's goal is 15 super chats / rumble rants / digger dollars. That's what we're calling it now, digger dollars. When J.H. Schwalbeck pops in here, they become digger dollars. He likes coming in through there. So of $10 or more, we just ratchet those up. If I get those, I'm committing to you guys. I'm going to give you 3 hours. That's the goal. It is Thursday night. I should have put a different goal, right? I could put a different goal up there. Should I put a different goal? Put a different goal. Different goal I was thinking about, which I like as my Thursday night goal, is that excuse me, trying to clear that frog out of my throat. I got like Tim Walz backing up here. Oh, look at the color. The color of my face just totally changed there. That was weird. All right. Well, the other goal is that I do a Saturday night show. I'll leave it if someone like gives like a really generous thing, I'll leave it up to them. I'll leave it up to them. That's what I'm gonna do. Like someone hits like a 50 or 100 or something like that, which sometimes happens. I'll be like, hey, you tell me, you prefer 3 hours or a show on Saturday? That's what I'm gonna that's what I'll do. That's the way to do it. I like it. I like it. I would modify my goal right now, but I don't think YouTube lets me do that. I like it better. All right. Where are we gonna start tonight? I think we should start. I think we should start with the arrests. That's where we should start, right? Let's start with the arrests. I think that's the way to go. That's the way to go. So that's where that is what we're gonna go. So first arrest today. These are arrests coming out of Minnesota. Some of you may be aware of the fact that on Sunday there was this disruption of church services by this organization led by Nikema Levy Armstrong. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I threw it out there. I said like 50, 100. You hit me with 2. How do I say no to that? All right. Saturday night it is. I didn't expect that. God bless you. God bless you. All right. Well, the request has been made. That was a very emphatic request. All right. So I guess I'm here Saturday night. Well done. Well done indeed. Well, okay. Let's start you off. Fine. Saturday night show is now locked in. It's now locked in. Well done. Okay. We'll start off here in Minnesota. Some of you may be aware there was this whole invasion of a church led by Nikema Levy Armstrong, and a couple dozen of her closest friends. Don Lemon was filming the whole thing. We'd spent a whole night talking about this insane raid, the horrors that they visited upon these innocent church parishioners, screaming at the priest up front. Just harassing them, making women and children cry, following them out into the parking lot, just harassing and screaming at them like a bunch of friggin' lunatics. The entire thing was just clearly designed to just like alienate and just make them feel like they were. It was horrible. It was designed to be horrible, and it was every bit as horrible. And we were all screaming that there should be arrests. We spent a lot of time talking about whether or not Don Lemon was someone who could be charged. We know he wants to charge on the basis that he wants to evade charges on the basis that he's a journalist. And then we heard, well, you can't charge on Monday because national holiday. You can't get charges. So we were all like, okay, Tuesday it didn't happen. Wednesday it did not happen, and we're just like, we're gonna forget about this. There's gonna be another church invasion on Sunday. Is that what we're looking at? It's gonna be like a follow up next week. I mean, why wouldn't they? Right? Would there be another church invasion? No. Attorney General Pamela Bondi announced minutes ago. She announced at 9:28 this morning. Minutes ago in my direction. HSI headquarters and FBI agents executed an arrest in Minnesota. So far, we arrested Nikema Levy Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. We will share more updates as they become available. More updates. Listen loud and clear. We do not tolerate attacks on places of worship. That's what she sent out at 9:28 this morning, much to the delight and cheer of MAGA, certainly. MAGA feeling very relieved that woman was taken off the streets, that attorney / reverend, that's what she claims, she's an attorney and a reverend, all these crazy explanations as to why she thought it was legal when it clearly seemed thoroughly illegal. And here was the lunatic who was by her side reacting to that arrest.
They've just arrested Nikema Armstrong for our protest on Sunday. You know, my lawyers tell me they have no fucking case. This use of the FACE Act and the KKK Act is complete bullshit. But let's
Your lawyers can say whatever the hell they want. They wrong.
be honest, they don't fucking care.
She is a lawyer. She thought they had no case. She wrong.
They don't believe in the rule of law.
Of course we believe in the rule of law. You don't believe in the rule of law. That's your problem.
Fascists.
They're fascists. They're fascists.
Now going after fucking the Clintons for the Epstein files.
They are going after the Clintons, not for the Epstein files, but for ignoring a subpoena. And that was bipartisan. You had like 9 Democrats who signed off out of like 17. Like half of the Democrats signed off on it in that committee. So yeah, that's bipartisan. Idiots.
What the fuck? God damn it, people. When will you stop fucking acting like everything's normal and going about your fucking days?
It's not normal. You're being a lunatic. That's what needs to basically stop. What's not normal is how we had 20 million illegal aliens that were ushered in here, flown in here, escorted across the border by our prior administration. That's the problem we're trying to remedy. It's not normal. This is not situation normal. This is situation desperate because of the massive problems in our country that were infected here by disgusting, self-destructive Democrat policies that we were living under for 4 years. That's what this is.
Get in the fucking streets now. It's time to shut this country down. We are at fascism. The republic has fucking fallen. Please, Americans, please stand up for something. Do not be the same as those in 1930s Germany.
Don't be. It's always 1930s Germany. That's what they always come to. Oh my gosh, it's 1930s Germany. Dude, I was living under that. For 4 years here. Okay. Well, I was living something not anything remotely close to like 1930s Germany, because that's obviously insane hyperbole. But I was living under something much closer than you are, because we were being suppressed. We were being thrown in prison. We were facing ridiculous terms, invented new charges. They invented charges. They reinvented how to read a law and start applying that to over 1,000 J6ers until the Supreme Court was like, that's not what the law statute says. How many people sentenced under that pled out because of facing those charges? That's what fascism is. When you start all of a sudden inventing new laws. These are existing laws that everyone knows about. That if you're the attorney you're following there, Nikema Levy Armstrong wasn't such a moron, wasn't such a bozo, she would have been aware of it. These are laws which have been used against MAGA when they stand outside abortion clinics. But you think rules for thee, not for me. Well, you effed around, now you're finding out. So he's not happy when he hears Nikema Levy Armstrong got arrested.
Because right now, that's exactly what you're all fucking doing. Please wake the fuck up. They've just arrested.
So there you go. That was his reaction to seeing his friend get arrested. Liz is Joe's sugar mama. I guess so. I'm with Liz. There you go. All right.
Arrested Nikema.
So thank you kindly. I should look at what's going on in the ghetto. So Long Picture Show has raided the stream. Hey, So Long Picture folk. I wonder if he comes in here or she. I don't know if So Long Go Picture is a man or a woman. I should really check that channel out, because I see I get like a nightly raid from them. They raid me all the time. I'm trying to see. It's hard to see. I'm taking a quick look here. I see that's where Jacob Castro hangs out. I don't know. And Duck Fat and Dominion After Dark. All right. Well, Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. So long picture show says I'm non-binary. Thank you for the raid, brother. Or I guess thank you for the raid, they them. Enjoy the lab meet. I don't know. I guess that works. I guess that works. All right, so that's what we had. That was the news. That was the news with respect to Nikemi Levy Armstrong. And we got to see that bearded dude's meltdown. And that was just the start of it. That was just the start of it. Because the second person, then we had this from Pam Bondi. What came next was this. Update. A second arrest has been made at my direction. Shantia Louisa Allen has been taken into custody. More to come. We will protect our houses of worship. Do you want to see her being taken into custody? Because you can see it. We're going to take a look at that. Here she is. Double handcuffs and all. Being frog marched into the county jail.
Lockup's in there. We'll bring her in. She'll stand off to the side. I know this only because I just did it once.
When I say double handcuffs, I mean double handcuffs. Backfield in motion there. See, you need two handcuffs when the arms don't reach.
Lockup's in there.
Right, so there you go. That was number 2. Good times all around. And that followed up with update. William Kelly is now in custody. Our nation was settled and founded by people fleeing religious persecution. Religious freedom is the bedrock of this country. We will protect our pastors. We will protect our churches. We will protect Americans of faith. Who is William Kelly? Who is that? Who is that? Oh no. William Kelly is being charged with conspiracy to deprive rights of federal crime and violating the FACE Act 18 U.S.C. 248 for his involvement in the St. Paul Church riots. Oh no. That was shared with us courtesy of Christy Noam. Let's learn a little bit more about him. He's not a combat veteran the way he always claims he is. Did admin work while he was in, because he's always talking about how I'm a veteran. Was apparently discharged for bad conduct after being charged with larceny. Now he's storming churches. What a perfect representation of the left. William Kelly's a clown. Thank you, Mike, for showing me this info. Far-left activist William Kelly, who stormed the church in protest of ICE, now has a message for MAGA. I won't be intimidated by you, MAGA. You don't scare me. I'm a veteran, and I stand against you and ICE. I'm starting a revolution. I don't want to do anything to do with you Trump supporters. Frankly, we're not really too fond about hanging out with you either. Here's more about his allegedly stolen valor. I don't know. I'm just sharing with you what's being said online. So they say if there's any valor, Democrats actually love, it's stolen valor. So let's get some facts about William Kelly, the protester who stormed the church in Minneapolis. Thank you, Mr. Shipley. MOS was 42A, human resources and administrative role, not combat infantry like he claims. Was never a warrant officer like he claims. Court-martialed in 2008 for larceny, theft, stealing government property or funds, bad conduct, discharge, BCD, a punitive separation after court-martial, not eligible for VA. Saying that this asshat is a definite. Not eligible for VA benefits, this ass has definition of stolen valor. That is according to Delic Mom, White and Renee. I don't know who this is, but this was shared out by someone who, when I was sharing out the Pam Bondi thing, This is the guy here.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians,
Go to jail
all
for
these
this.
comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives,
So glad he's going to jail for this.
while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing.
So glad that this guy's going to jail. Oh my God. Do you want to go and say that stuff out on the streets on some corner? You know, that's one thing. When you're purposefully trying to disrupt a church service or any religious service, you deserve to go to jail for that. You do. These people are trying to communicate with God. That's why they go. That's why they're going to religious service. The objective is to talk to God, and you want to go in there and talk to them about whatever you damn well please. Take everything over there. No, that's not the way freedom of assembly works, brother. Just not the way it goes. Also reporting here, so it's not just that guy. William Kelly, better known as the woke farmer, got booted from the U.S. Army with bad conduct discharge. He was in from 2007, 2011, but his stories don't add up. No combat entry vet yet, no Afghanistan deployment, no warrant officer gig. Reality check, he was just an HR admin, MOS 42A, zero combat or overseas action. Back in 2008, court-martialed for stealing, which led to drop to private. That punitive BCD, basically other than honorable with major baggage. Dude fabricates his military record. He's a proven thief and an alcoholic on top. Yet this is the fraud the left loves to elevate. Wake up, folks.
In Christianity, you cannot be an ICE agent and be a pastor. My name is William Kelly. I'm a combat infantry veteran. I'm a patriot. I'm a defender of human
Not a combat infantry veteran.
dignity. But we went in there and we preached the words of Jesus at them. Jesus said to love thy neighbor. Jesus said to welcome aliens from faraway places. But we're terrorists? They're calling me a professional agitator now? Well, yes, I am. I am an agitator because people need to
Well, you're not a combat infantry veteran, so you're basically full of crap.
be agitated. What they're doing to this nation is unconstitutional. It is inhumane. It is treason. It is disgusting. That is a white supremacist church.
No, shut up, jackass. You're basically spitting in the face of every real combat veteran.
As long as that pastor is allowed to preach there, it is a hateful church. Those are not Christians. Those are evil people if they support that.
So there you go. Here's a video of his arrest.
Kelly, you okay? Fucking Christ.
Use the bat like that. You guys don't that line. Remember your oath. Remember what you're doing right now. You are denying the Constitution. Remember your oath. Shame on you. Shame on every one of you.
Are you bringing him to federal building, I assume?
Yeah, can we know where you're taking him?
Americans, do not be intimidated by these Jews. Remember the Constitution. Stand for humanity. Do not be intimidated.
Where are you guys taking him?
Not your business. All who served military veterans, but not all are combat veterans. People like him make me sick, claiming something they're not. Yeah. I'm going to come to you in a minute, Kimmy. I'm working my way there. First, I got to get to this. So what about Don Lemon? What about him? Well, a federal magistrate judge in Minnesota rejected the DOJ's attempt to charge Don Lemon over his participation in the invasion of a church by anti-ICE leftists. Pam Bondi is reportedly enraged and said she will travel to Minnesota herself, per the New York Post. So they tried charging Don Lemon, but a magistrate judge said no. Does that mean it's over? No, it does not. That does not mean it's over. I'm going to get to a couple of these posts before I get to what Kimmy tells me here, which is that she sent a DM. Harmeet tweet, Don Lemon feels emboldened since the judge won't sign a warrant, daring Bondi to arrest him. Harmeet responded minutes ago. Also, welcome to the following, Tammy Butler. please bear in mind that the following is not at all a cult. It type of cult. It sounds like it. When you hear the following, you might think that now you join it's not at all a cult type of cult. Like, sir, I can walk you through it if you need it. But welcome. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Let's learn more about this judge who refused to sign off on that warrant for Don Lemon. Jack Posobiec reporting, I'm told the judge that refused to sign the criminal complaint against Don Lemon is Magistrate Judge Douglas Micco. His wife works for Keith Ellison as an assistant attorney general and has anti-ICE posts on LinkedIn. Look at that. Look at this sickness. Caitlin Micco, assistant attorney general to Keith Ellison. Sickening. She's reposting about suing ICE. This is the clown. Her husband is the clown who said, I'm not signing a warrant to arrest Don Lemon. That's the magistrate judge. Magistrate judge is like a nothing position. It's not a nothing position. Let me strike that. I want to take that back. It's not a nothing position. It is a position. Magistrate judges are the ones who help keep the trial schedule for the judges who are appointed. Magistrate judges need not be appointed. So they're considered a judge. We certainly will address them in court as Your Honor. But it's not nearly the same thing as an appointed judge. Because all the other, the 490 judges that serve are, there's 490 appointed by the president judges. There's a lot more of the magistrate judges. So their role is to help push things along and make things easier for the district court judge. That's what a magistrate judge is. It's more of an administrative position, although they do make decisions, and they'll basically write opinions that the district court judge will invariably agree with. It's very rare for them to break away from it. So, Random Tatum is explaining why this is significant. Maybe, you know what? Let's see. Give me a moment. I just want to figure out the best order for me to share these remaining links on the story. Okay.
These are what are called targeted interventions.
I think I can skip that. I don't think we need that. Let's go to what. Let's see what Kimmy shared with me here. It just says Harmeet just shared out here. Here is Don Lemon being all proud of himself after he wasn't arrested.
Look, I stand proud and I stand tall. This is not a victory lap for me because it's not over. They're going to try again and they're going to try again. And guess what? Here I am. Keep trying. That's not going to stop me from being a journalist. You're not going to diminish my voice. Go ahead, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel if you want. Because I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to believe the same things, whether you want to, whatever. None of this is about justice. This is about power, and it's about people who are incompetent.
Yeah, well, you're an expert on what's incompetence. That's for sure. So after he shared that out, saying, "You come try again, come try again," Harmeet Dillon said, "Dak, that wasn't what I wanted." Harmeet Dillon retweeted that. Went to her, keep trying with, okay, We'll keep trying. So how do they keep trying? What would they do? How do you keep going after him? They can go to a grand jury and get a grand jury to indict him. They don't need to go to a judge. That's what you do. You go to a grand jury. And here's why it's important. This is a good breakdown as to why it's important that they're arrested. The arrest is just the start of it. Because the arrest opens up Pandora's box where you can now engage in looking through their phones and their communications and actually seeing things that can be helpful.
Look, there's going to be very, very little that they can do in defense of this because it's on film. And for once, they didn't cover their faces. Now, here is the thing that's going to come out of this. You have her under arrest. Now you're going to get the communications. And this is where it starts to spider web out. You start to see who was talking to who showed up in regard, including Don Lemon.
Yep.
How much did they all know going in? That imports things like conspiracy charges, which can be quite heavy. There's criminal civil rights charges that are implicated in the church incident.
This is also because one of the things that we found out about that was that they were targeting them because they were privileged white supremacists.
We talked about that earlier in the week. Not only did that come out in the video and that they said something like that in the church, but then after the fact, Lemon talks about exactly that, putting a racial overtone in the whole thing, which potentially could import a hate crime.
Exactly. That's what this is. And I know my wife, she hates when I talk about a hate crime. She like, it's just a crime. I'm like, no, there is what they call it, an added charge to when you do something with the motive of being hateful towards another person by action, meaning that it's aggravated if you go into a church and you do it because you're going after white people. And the reason why that's the case, because people used to do this against black people. And therefore, you are now aggravated the crime that you have committed. Same thing with being a part of a criminal gang syndicate, which means that if you do a crime or a robbery on behalf of a gang, that's aggravated charging.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not really considered aggravating. It's a different charge, but it's a higher level charge, and the punishment is more extreme because you're basically proving the same thing as if, they committed murder or they committed some other civil rights violation, depending on what it is. Whatever your standard punishment would be, if motivation is deemed hate, they, it's that you're looking to commit a crime because you hate because of your racist nature. Well, that's going to be a worse offense. So whether or not they'll be able to make that stick, I don't know. But it's definitely something that their defense counsel is going to have to contend with. So, yeah, this is like the start of what they're able to do, and it's very possible that they don't have enough that through what they get from the phone information that will help further implicate Don Lemon. So I know some of you are not too excited about the idea of going after him because you feel like he's a journalist and you sort of want to keep journalists out of the fray. The argument to go after Don Lemon, which at first my initial take was, no, come on, he's a journalist. But then I looked at it more and I was like, I don't know that any of these people would have done this if not for the fact that he's live streaming them. And he was definitely part of the covertness of it. He was doing everything to enable and abet them so that they could pull it off. Using code words, I can't tell you the address of where we're going to because it's top secret. So at what point does the journalist become a conspirator? Some people say they heard him screaming in the church. I personally have not yet seen that, so I won't report that is as something that I can attest to. Some of you I know have said that you've seen that. I haven't seen it. But irrespective, when he goes in there, he's emboldening them, and he's conscious of the fact that his presence changes the nature of how this whole thing unfolds. So much so that he was thinking, maybe I can't go in there. Maybe I should take off my hat so people might not recognize me because his hat said Don Lemon on it. Maybe I should take, or the Don Lemon Show, whatever stupid hat he had. So he's conscientious about the notion that him being there is impacting it in the same way it could impact those who are victims of these church stormers, of the church insurrectionists. And maybe they're that maybe he can maybe he's causing them to go all the more hog wild. A bunch of LARPers feeling like, oh, I can go on TV as if I'm a really special, important, down with the cause person, and all these people watching Don Lemon's show are going to watch me, so that's why I want to go. So his presence there could be likely making it much worse. Maybe emboldening them to act more ostentatiously, more outrageously. So at what point does he go from being a journalist, from covering a story, to being the story? And if he is the story, then he's a conspirator. So it's a philosophical question. I'm sort of really torn on it. I'm really torn on it. I mean, I hate the guy. He's a douchebag. So I know that my natural leaning would be towards lock him up. I can understand it. I'm not crazy about it. So I think there's a danger to it. The danger to it is that at a certain point, you might say anyone who's there, any reporter who's ever covering anything is now making the story worse. Now they should be, considered conspirator. So it's a very easy road to go down. I've really been going back and forth on this. Well, I'm not going to be outraged if he's charged. I kind of want to see him charged. Really hate the guy. He's such a jerk. He's so evil. He makes the world a crappier place. But it might be a very costly price doing that. Jade Schwalbeck says, I was in the Air Force in the 70s. I carried a gun. I was a combat drunk, and I have a DD-214 to prove it. Does this make me special? Yes. Very, very special. You were a combat drunk? Meaning you used to get drunk and fight people? Is that what you mean by that? I don't know. Or that you actually went into a combat zone. That's my question. Does this make you special? Yeah, it does. It does. It's something that is significant. If you were engaged in combat, under orders to engage in combat, not because you were in a bar fight, then yeah, that's something that you put your life on the line for your nation. And that deserves a special recognition from everyone in our country. So it does. That's I'm only one man. I'm just telling you what my opinion is. But yeah. He bought them coffee and donuts, kissed her. Yeah, okay. That's not conspire. Is that conspiring? I don't know. I think the judge not signing off on it is crazy. But yeah. And while we're talking about ICE here, let's stay with ICE. Let's stay with ICE for a few more minutes. There was a story that came out that I was seeing people talk about last night. And as soon as I saw the story, I was like, this is not true. This is not true. The Associated Press was reporting, which is that immigration officers are asserting sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's warrant, a memo obtained by AP says. I was like, this is not a true story. I don't believe it. I do not believe that they're going into a home without a warrant. That doesn't make any sense. I don't want them doing that. And I don't think they are. If they were, we'd be hearing about it all the time. We would be hearing about it one time after another. There would have been one report after another about this. So I was like, this is not happening. This is fake news. That was my takeaway from this. I was like, I know it's not happening because there would be all these different people. They broke in. There was no warrant. We would be hearing about this all the time. We haven't heard a single complaint. So that cannot be the case. So I was like, the AP is lying. That was my takeaway. And I would not want to see them go in without a warrant because they're going to end up going into, American citizens' homes. It's not good. It's not good. And here's their story on it. Immigration officers assert sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's nap, and then they change it. You see how they change it? This is a very key word here. Very, very key word here. Without a judge's warrant. Oh, not without a warrant, without a judge's warrant. That is not at all the same thing. You see this over here. Now, if we focus on this word judges, I'm like, okay, a judge's warrant. Yeah. Well, what does that mean? The idea is you're supposed to think they're going in without a warrant. You read this and you're like, oh, they're going without a warrant. No, they're not going without a warrant. They're going in without a judge's warrant. But there are other agencies which can issue a warrant besides a judge. As Tricia McLaughlin points out, they have an administrative warrant. Administrative warrants have been used for decades and recognized by the Supreme Court and lower courts as satisfying the Fourth Amendment. In other words, this whole story is a nothing story. In every case that DHS uses an administrative warrant to enter a residence, an illegal alien has already had their full due process and a final order of removal by a federal immigration judge. The officer also has probable cause that the person's in the house. That's your administrative warrant. When I saw this, first being reported, I was sort of reported, no warrant. And I'm like, yeah, this is the same thing that's going on for decades. They're desperate to try and frame any story to try and make it look as if there's fascism and ignoring the constitutional violations and all this other hot garbage out there. And that's because that's all they have is hot garbage narrative. Ridiculous BS takes designed to trigger people into thinking, oh my God, we're under martial law. There's craziness here. They're breaking the law left and right. They're not breaking the law. They're following exactly what everyone else has done for decades. But these are things that people don't realize, that there's such a thing as administrative warrant. They think a judge has to sign, a licensed judge has to sign off on this every single time. That's just not the way it goes. There are circumstances where you can rely on an administrative warrant. That's the entire, but they don't want you to think that. So instead, like how can we create a whole story making people think that they're violating the Fourth Amendment? How can we do that? That's what the AP is looking to do there. And that's how this whole story was shared around. Designed to make folks feel as if the Trump administration and their agencies, in particular ICE, don't care about the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment, or your basic civil liberties. And this is not true. Also, I personally have the opinion that they don't have the same legally, philosophically, and morally. Illegal aliens do not have the same civil liberties that protect civil liberty protections that you and I have, nor should they ever. So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify with those of you who had seen that story. Who cares? So what? A stupid loser. And not judicial warrants. No one said that they are. You don't need a judicial warrant, doofus. So there you go. And if you think that his whole deportation of people hasn't done anything, maybe it's not done anything on crime. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. But here's one statistic that looks good. U.S. murder rate hits lowest level since 1900. 2025 per 100,000 residents, based on a 35 city sample. You can't hide homicide because you got a body. Lowest number we had since 1900. That's pretty impressive. So I don't know. Sort of got to figure that maybe it's Trump that's doing that. Maybe. I just possibly. You think so? While we're talking about the ridiculous framing of some of these stories, all right, there we go. Here's Ken Martin. Woke loser Ken Martin claiming ICE detained a 5-year-old child in Minnesota to use as bait. An innocent child. America, let this sink in. This is what the government is doing right in front of our eyes. Unbelievable. ICE detains 5-year-old Minnesota boy. Lawyer says agent uses him as bait. Liam Conea Ramos. Look at this poor little kid. He is adorable. I mean, just friggin' adorable. Liam Conea Ramos, a student at Valley View Elementary, whom school officials and a lawyer for the Ramos family say was detained with his parent by federal agents on Tuesday. Detained with his parent? Wait, what? 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 Detained with his parent? Wait, what? What does that mean? What does that mean? This is a more sad story. This is Liam Conea Ramos. This is the 5-year-old child ICE grabbed in Minnesota today. They used him as bait to get his father. They sent this toddler to detention instead of letting him stay with his family. A masked man grabbed the toddler off the street in broad daylight. They're so sick. They're so sick. Sounds horrible, right? Sounds horrible. Until you actually look into what happened on this story. U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, you're lying for clicks yet again. ICE did not and has never used a child as bait. This child was abandoned. On January 20th, ICE conducted a targeted operation to arrest Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, an illegal alien from Ecuador who was released into the U.S. by the Biden administration. As agents approached the driver, Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias fled on foot, abandoning his own freaking child. For the child's safety, one of our ICE officers remained with the child while the other officers apprehended Conejo Arias. Parents can take control of departure and receive a free flight and $2,600 using the CBP Home app. Oh, they weren't doing that. Oh, that's not what happened. They weren't just picking the kid up. They weren't just detaining 5-year-olds. Oh, they were. But what about the whole using him as bait? What about that? We don't really have more about that. Oh, let's get that. Let's get that out. Let's find out more about that. ICE did not target a child. The child was abandoned. This is them saying, and as they tell the story, for the child's safety, one of our ICE officers remained with the child while the other officers apprehended Conejo Arias. Parents are asked if they want to be removed with the child, or ICE will place the child with a safe person the parent designates. This is consistent with past administration immigration enforcement. Parents can take control of their departure and receive a free flight and $2,600 with CBP Home app. By using the CBP Home app, illegal aliens reserve the chance to come back the right legal way. So you have a chance to do it that way. Yeah, and what I saw elsewhere, I don't know if I see it. Let me see if I actually saved the clip of this. Yeah. Oh, here's JD Vance talking about this story.
ICE agents detaining Vice President Vance, a local school district here is alleging ICE agents detaining a 5-year-old after preschool on Tuesday. We've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE harassed by ICE in the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown here in Minnesota right now?
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you know, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense.
And it's more than that. What I saw elsewhere, I don't know why I forgot to save a link to the further explanation, which is, or maybe this is it. Maybe this is the further explanation about them using him as bait. This is Damani Felder. I think I was on a stream with him once. Damani Felder. I wanted to get him on here.
Let's debunk the latest liberal lie about ICE in less than 2 minutes. Ready? Let's go. So you've probably seen this picture circulating on social media. This is Liam Conejo Ramos, a 5-year-old that the news articles and the liberals are saying was detained by ICE most recently in Minnesota. Now, the facts of the matter paint a far different picture. Liam's father is named Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, and he was an ICE target for deportation because he was allowed in illegally from Ecuador during the Biden years. The fact of the matter is, Adrian saw these ICE officers approaching, and he chose to flee on foot and leave his own 5-year-old in the car. This is according to the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security. And ICE has a policy. They do not want to separate children from their parents who are being deported when and if at all possible. So they sent Liam to the front door to knock on the door to make sure there was an adult there at the house at all and make sure he'd not been abandoned altogether. But of course,
So when he's knocking on the door, it wasn't to lure out the illegal. It was to see if his mother was home. They painted as if they sent him to the front door so they can get the illegal alien to come outside. No. They, at least the way Damani is telling this story, the father, the illegal, had already fled. They're like, oh my God, what are we going to do with this little kid? Oh, well, he was supposed to be coming here. Let's see if his mom is home. But if we knock on the door, she's not going to answer for us. Let's have the kid knock on the door. See, he knocks on the door, not as bait, but that's so he can go home to his mother. That's all this is. They were trying to get him back home to his mother. No answer. So they take the kid with them rather than leaving the kid alone. 5-year-old kid, leaving him alone after the dad abandoned him because he was afraid that ICE was going to arrest him. So this entire narrative about how ICE was using him as bait and ICE was arresting the kid and all this other nonsense is utter and total crap. Why? Because they know, look at this cute little kid. They can weaponize this as like, oh, look at how terrible ICE is that they're arresting 5-year-olds and using them as bait to get illegal aliens.
average leftist now is going to sit there and say, oh, well, the Department of Homeland Security, they are lying. I don't trust the government, right? These are the same people who rolled up their sleeves 5, 6, 7 times a few years ago to take a government-enforced shot so they can get a free donut and a side of fries just a couple years ago, right? These people change their positions quicker than a weather vane in a hurricane. But now they want to sit there and share fake news and share these news articles designed to whip you into a frenzy and to obfuscate the actual facts. And it is our obligation to make sure that we debunk these stories in real time and correct the record as quickly as possible before these stories are allowed to spread. So if you know someone out there, if you're unfortunate enough to have a liberal friend or family member who is susceptible to falling for these fake news stories, share this video with them as soon as possible so you can get the truth out while there's still time. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Well done, Damani. Well done indeed. JH says, I was stationed in England, carried a gun at work, chased women at night. Okay. It was the disco era and drank a lot. And I was 18 and I like women. We rode a short bus out to the Flight Line special. Nice. Nice. All right. I'll give you credit. I'll give you credit. Turns out you can arrest your way out of a crime. Oh, that's true. I guess they're arresting him, so not kidnapping the kid. Yeah, there you go. Look at this new member of the following. Please bear in mind, Think Health Care Solutions. Please, now that you join the following, that the following is not at all a cult, type of cult, and I am not at all the leader of the following. I'm just a host. But we're very glad that we have you here with the following, which is an assembly of like-minded individuals who are seeking greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. Community, unity, learning, and thinking. But please, rest assured, it's not at all a cult type of cult. So, well, welcome. Welcome to the following. We've been waiting for you. About the good incident, there was tons of video from different angles, but one, the lesbian wife, where's her post video? I don't know. I was wondering the same thing. It's very interesting that we've never seen hers, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I agree. I'm with you. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. It's weird. Weird stuff. Felser says Vance had the old flag of Minnesota behind him, not the Somalian one. Beast. Good job. Good job, JD. Good job, JD. And then we go from this fake story to another one. Alex Jones shared out saying, did you know there's a female version of Jussie Smollett? 23-year-old Nasra Ahmed alleges she was kidnapped and brutalized by ICE at a Minnesota news conference. Let's hear her story.
And I walked
with the Band-Aids and everything. She's not going to take the Band-Aids off. No, she's not taking the Band-Aids off. They don't look very bloody, those Band-Aids, just saying. They don't look like... But with the Band-Aids and everything, let's hear from Jussie Smollett. From Jessica Smollett.
We're following these two men, and I was waiting for these two men to hold the door for me. And I told them, hey, can you hold the door for me? And I walked right in the middle. And when I was in the middle, ICE came. They came out of their cars. They asked me to see my ID. And while they were asking me to see the ID, they just decided it was nice to be racist and say really nasty things to me.
Of course.
And that man, he called me the N-word.
Oh.
And he called me that, and then
okay.
they arrested me.
Hard R? Was it hard R?
They arrested me. It was multiple people. They used a lot of force to arrest me. I actually got a...
I don't believe that for a second. That looks like the stupidest looking Band-Aid I've ever seen. It's not even staying on.
Scab that was healing while I was in jail. But they pushed me hard. They used a lot of violence. My body...
It looks like it healed very well already. A miracle heal.
My body still hurts. I got a concussion. It's really hard for me to speak because of that concussion. They were just using a lot of force to arrest me, and I was screaming, I was crying, I was so scared. I've never been arrested in my life. I don't have a criminal record. I have a clean record. It was just, and then that detainment, I was detained. I was literal cuffs were put on my legs, cuffs on my hands, and I was actually detained with a Native American woman. And
a Native American woman too. Oh, they're going after the Indians. Watch out, you Navajo. You watch out, you Sioux Indians. They're going after the Native Americans too.
God bless her heart. She went through a lot too. She was also detained by ICE, and she was also a U.S. citizen, and like me. And she had gashes on her face. They shattered her windows.
She doesn't want to come forward.
She had blood on her jeans, her corduroy jeans.
Whose blood? Who'd she kill? Whose blood?
And she was crying because she was so scared that, because she was with her dog, she was so scared that her dog got hurt.
Oh my God, there's a dog involved too.
She was so scared for her life. We were both crying together.
There's a life involved here too.
We were holding each other tight. And I'll never forget, like, the fear that we both felt in our hearts that day. And, like...
Look at these tears. Look at all those tears streaming down her face.
I'm so sorry if I'm getting a little emotional, but... It's okay.
We don't see any tears.
Thank you.
Well, that was something. That was quite something. Lots of tears. The tears are just streaming down her face. It's very emotional there for me. So there you go. That was Nasra Ahmed, who very, very clearly was totally brutalized with lots of concussions and cuts all over, and Native American women who are also brutalized. Everyone. And a dog. There's a dog in there somewhere. I don't know. What else did I have here? This I covered. This I covered. This is the only thing I didn't cover yet. I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to cover this. Yeah, why not? Why not? You all being so good. Let's cover this real quick before we move on to Jack Smith and the end of his career. The end of the Jack Smith era. Okay.
I don't hate immigrants. I just want them to come here legally.
Yep.
You've probably heard people say this, or
I've said that.
maybe it's something you believe.
I do.
And honestly, if you don't know much about immigration, it sounds like a perfectly reasonable position.
It sounds like the position that every American should have.
The problem is it has nothing to do with what the Trump administration is actually doing.
Wrong.
Because they're not distinguishing between legal and illegal immigrants.
Yes, they very much are.
Let me prove it. Trump
Okay, let's hear your proof.
has canceled temporary protected status, or TPS, for more than 1 million immigrants.
Right.
These are people who are here legally.
They were brought in here legally, true.
They go through extensive background checks every 18 months.
No, they don't. That's the part that's crap. No, these guys were never vetted.
And many have lived and worked here for decades without...
No, that's not what he was targeting at all when he canceled the TPS. He was canceling people who had never been vetted. That was the problem. That was exactly the problem.
issue. They've stripped visas from tens of thousands of people who were lawfully working or studying in the United States.
Not all of them were working or studying, and many of them got it courtesy of the mass migration of Afghanis when Biden had his completely botched pullout. So yeah, we had lots of them who were brought in here who had no vetting at all, zero vetting, because they were friends of someone who helped someone in the military or the CIA. So that was the problem. That was the temporary protected status they stripped away.
In some cases for minor traffic violations, in others for exercising free speech.
Free speech is not the same for someone who's not an American citizen.
With the stroke of a pen, thousands of people who were here legally were made undocumented overnight.
That's true. That's true, because when you visit here, it is at the pleasure of the, it's at the permission of the sovereign. That's what it is. You're here, you're a visitor, you're here at the pleasure of the sovereign. You do not have the same free speech rights. You do not have the same rights as an American citizen, nor should you ever. You were never supposed to have that. The founding fathers never conferred that upon you, that anyone who sets foot on American soil, all of a sudden we treat them as if they're an American citizen. And the entire reason that there is logic to saying that I support legal immigration is because legal immigrants have been properly vetted. They can be brought in here at a normal rate and pace, which is healthy rather than unhealthy. Because it would not be healthy to bring in, even if we had some magic way, imagine this for a second. Imagine we had some magic method that we could use all the power of the internet and computer power to know everything as possible to know about 500 million would-be immigrants. Does that mean we should bring them all in here in the next year or 2 years? No, that would be retarded. That would be ridiculous. The purpose of legal immigration is A, to vet them, and B, to make sure that we bring them in here at a rate which is healthy. which is absorbable. So that we get people who actually love America rather than immigrate here and hate America. And we bring them in here at a rate that doesn't drown the entire boat. Imagine we could bring in 1 billion people here, theoretically, but that doesn't make any sense. So you have to bring them in at a normal rate, and they all have to be vetted. So when he uses a stroke of a pen, Biden, to all of a sudden confer temporary protected status on millions of people, that's retarded. And even though it's technically legal, that's not the type of legal immigration that people who say I support legal immigration are in any way, shape, or form talking about. Nor is it the way that anyone who has any sense actually means. Because presumably, you would recognize that, hey, let's say we could figure out about 4 billion people that they are eligible to come here. Should we just bring them all on in here in the next 2 years? Think of how retarded this is. There obviously has to be some sort of number limit, and that number limit should start with, okay, who can we vet? And folks who are not vetted cannot come here. It's really that simple. So you give them temporary protected status, and that means that it's temporary. It can be taken away. And he did. So, yeah, that doesn't mean if they were legal immigrants, then he wouldn't take it away. So, yeah, we're not looking to find ways, how can we turn them into legal immigrants as fast as possible, do that to millions of people, because that's retarded. Might as well just give them amnesty then. Doofus. It's Sawyer Hackett. There's one too many syllables in his last name. Because it really should be Sawyer Hack. I'm sure it's perfectly acceptable to lie to the infidel. Probably. You're saying that they're going to lie to us when they basically make all these promises? And that's why it's okay for Nasra Ahmed to basically tell her stupid, ridiculous tale, and they called her the N-word. The organized IE establishment, Jewish institutions in Minneapolis have particularly come out against ICE. Suicidal empathy. Yeah, okay. Oh, stupid leftist Jews. They're humiliating. I don't know why you need to share that with me, but thanks. Thanks. You tried to depress me? Okay. This is not what I'm looking for. This over here. Okay. It's time for us to start talking about Jack Smith. I think it's time for us to start discussing what went down with Jack Smith and why I say his career is over. As I'm clearing out my tabs here. I had so many tabs today. There was really a lot to cover tonight. Oh, let me check out if anything's happening in the ghetto, because I haven't looked over there in a minute. You guys good here in the ghetto? You're good. You look like you're good. Everything's fine here. Nothing to see. We're all good. All right. I'm now streaming on Facebook, by the way, in case you're wondering. I know. You can say to me, Joe, Facebook, really? Facebook? You're gonna stream to MySpace also? Are you gonna stream to ICQ? To America Online? Are you gonna stream to America Online? Look, I'm old school. I'll stream to Facebook. I am on Facebook. Who is Jack Smith? These are good questions, Denisha. Who is Jack Smith? Yeah. You see, I know. Your grandma's happy. I should stream to Blue Sky. Can I stream to Blue Sky? I have an account on Blue Sky. Stream to Blue Sky. They need my voice on Blue Sky. All right. So Jack Smith, unlike the Clintons who don't show up when they get subpoenaed, at least Jack Smith has the good grace to show up. He has the good grace to show up. And when he does, he embarrasses himself. As President Donald John Trump points out, Jack Smith is a deranged animal. Shouldn't be allowed to practice law. Deranged Jack Smith is being decimated before Congress. It was over when they discussed his past failures and unfair prosecutions. He destroyed many lives under the guise of legitimacy. Jack Smith is a deranged animal who shouldn't be allowed to practice law. If he were a Republican, his license would be taken away from him, and far worse. Hopefully, the Attorney General is looking at what he's done, including some of the crooked and corrupt cases that he was attempting to use in his case against me, corrupt witnesses that he was attempting to use in his case against me. The whole thing, if you ask me, the whole thing was Democrat scam. Big price should be paid for them for what they have put our country through. That's your synopsis for what today was from Donald Trump. But that's not nearly the entire story. We have a lot more for you. Okay, what do we got? Holy smokes, chaos erupts after Representative Issa confirms Jack Smith withheld info from a judge when he spied on Republicans. We have an admission. How many times are you going to interrupt me? Let's see what we got. Is this the one I wanted, or is this? Hold on, let me make sure I got the right one here. Let me make sure. I don't want to go through him twice. This is the one I want. With Issa. We're starting with Representative Issa.
From California is recognized. Mr. Smith, do you see criminals to my left? You don't see any. Do you see people who are committing crimes because they continue to believe things that just aren't true?
Nice. They believe all these untrue things. Do you think these Democrats are criminals for believing untrue things? Yeah, the word for lines of info is takia. I know it's an official policy, but I didn't remember the word. Thank you.
That's paraphrasing Ronald Reagan, that liberals aren't stupid. They just know things that don't happen to be true. If the president believed that he was cheated in an election, that there was fraud or in some other way a number.
I don't think he's going to lose his license. Licenses are issued by the state. I don't think he's going to lose his license. Just because it's not handled by the federal government. And the state bar tends to be very woke. Smith's career isn't over. I'm sure some leftist law firm will create a sinecure for him. They always do. I don't know. His career, he looks really bad today. You'll see.
Number of items led to his defeat when, in fact, he should have won according to the Constitution. Does that make him a criminal? Sir, no, that's a yes or no. Please, Mr. Smith. These people here are continuing to grapple constantly with things that aren't true, like socialism works, or that somehow everything the Republicans do is evil and everything they do is right. They've never reached a conclusion in a typical partisan case in which we're not evil because we think something different and we're not wrong. You understand the Constitution. Do you understand the Bill of Rights, that someone has the absolute right to believe something, whether it's true or not, and to advocate for something, whether it's true or not? Do you understand that in addition to your oath to the Constitution, that's one of the things the First Amendment allows for, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you know that people have a right to opine, lobby for, assert, do everything they can legally to ask for people to make different decisions, then why is it you saw criminal conduct on behalf of a president who believed he didn't win? Chairman Jordan and myself have something in common along with a number of others here. We saw wrongdoing, and on January 6th, we voted not to confirm 2 states because they had violated the U.S. Constitution in how they selected who got ballots. And yet, you're going to come here and say, oh, I just followed the law. When you went after these people and you said, well, technically I can do that, you didn't see any selective nature or any separation of powers under the Constitution to spying on the activities and the conversations of the Speaker of the House? To what end would conversations between the Speaker of the U.S. House,
which is that time was Kevin McCarthy,
third or second in line to be the president, and the president, in what basis would it be any of your business other than you believe that there was a conspiracy without conspiracy as a basic premise? You, like the president's men for Richard Nixon, went after your political enemies. Maybe they're not your political enemies, but they sure as hell were Joe Biden's political enemies, weren't they? They were Harris's political enemies. They were the enemies of the president, and you were their arm, weren't you?
No.
No. Oh, great. So you spied on the Speaker of the House and these other senators and so on, and informed no one, and in fact put in a gag order so they couldn't discover it. If they were not subjects of a conspiracy investigation, why did Congress, a separate branch that you, under the Constitution, have to respect, why is it that no one should be informed, including the judges? As you went in to spy on these people, did you mention that you were spying on seeking records so you could find out about when conversations occurred between the U.S. Speaker of the House and the president? Did you inform the judge, or did you hold that back?
My office didn't spy on anyone.
Wait a second. The question I asked you, Mr. Smith, was pretty straightforward.
Did you tell the judge that you were asking for records from the Speaker of the House? Instead, they referenced it as like co-conspirator, unindicted co-conspirator, or alleged, co-conspirator number 42. And they don't tell the judge who number 42 is. It just happens to be Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. But we don't tell him it's Speaker McCarthy. It's just someone who is talking to him who's believed to be about overturning the election results. It's like, so he doesn't tell the judge that, and then says, hey, we have to keep this secret. So they keep those. He ends up getting it. He ends up getting, the right to get their phone records of Kevin McCarthy. And then doesn't let Kevin McCarthy knows it because he has the judge put it under seal, so no one would know that number 42 is someone whose records they're able to get. That's what this clown did. Why? Why are you doing it like that?
Did you withhold that information from an Article 3 judge in the process of taking the records of the Speaker of the House?
We complied with Department.
Did you hold
Mr.
back
Chairman, would you please instruct the gentleman to...
He's not answering the question. He's saying something else. He's saying we comply with department regulations. He's not asking whether you comply with regulations. He's asking whether you told the judge.
Allow the witness to answer the question?
It's not your time. I'd like my time back.
Mr. Chairman, you have repeatedly done that in the past. The witness has the right to answer the question.
And there'll be due time to answer the question. Would you please put my time back and let me finish this? Mr. Smith, I asked you a question and you were not responsive to it, and I want you to be responsive to it. Did you, whether you think it was legal or not, whether you think it was right or not, did you withhold the name of Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, when you were seeking records on Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, or Jim Jordan, the chairman of this committee?
At the time the gentleman is...
No, please give me
a few
back
more
the
seconds.
time that would take it away.
Time is expired, but we're going to let the witness answer your question because it's an important question. The witness can respond.
We did not provide that information to the judge.
Boom. There you go. So we didn't tell the judge it was Kevin McCarthy. We got Kevin McCarthy's records, and the judge never knew what he was signing off on. That it was Kevin. It was the Speaker of the House's records that he was endorsing that we basically selectively grab. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, that's a good start. Okay.
Judge, when we requested a non-disclosure order, consistent with the law and consistent with Department
Mr. Chairman, the amazing thing here today is that we have an admission that an article.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time is expired by now 34 seconds.
It gets more than 5 minutes.
How many times you interrupt me?
The time belongs to the gentleman from California, it has expired.
I will be brief in my address to the chairman. We have the evidence that an Article 1 representative on behalf of the president withheld from Article 3.
Mr. Chairman, I would be granted the same leniency.
And with that, I yield back in disgust of this witness.
Sticking with.
So well done, Daryl Issa. Well done indeed. That's a pretty nice start right there. Glad you were able to finally catch a show. Did Pence do the legal, moral, ethical thing to certify the election? I thought so at first, not so much now. What he did was he acted like a coward. What he did was he acted as if he didn't have the authority to recognize an alternate slate of electors. See, he was hiding behind, well, this is my legal duty, out of cowardice. Everyone understood that there was all sorts of issues with the way those 6 states conducted their elections. We're talking about Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona. Everyone understood that there was all sorts of issues. There was even a law case where Texas was saying, we don't want these electors being brought in here because they weren't selected in accordance with their own state regulations. So these are not valid electors. There's just basically a bunch of governors who decided, well, we want Biden to win, so we're just going to validate these. But they didn't conform with their own state regulations. They basically ignored their own state law because they figured they'd get away with it. So there's an alternate slate of electors. I've talked about this many times before. But the question is, really, does the 12th Amendment, which directs that the president of the Senate, which is the vice president of the United States at the time, Mike Pence, has the authority to basically call into question the legitimacy of a slate of electors when there's 2 different slates that are presented to him. Now, you could read it, since he's the one who's deciding it, that the question is his role that he's supposed to try and sit there and assess which one of these is legitimate? Or was his role as something like akin to Vanna White, which is like, oh, okay, we have this envelope here, let's open this up. Or one of those girls opening up a briefcase, I guess we'll modernize this analogy, and deal or no deal. It's like, oh, $5. Wow, 250. Yeah, I guess they'd share for the $5 ones, right? But opening up the is that his role? That he's basically a glorified showgirl? It doesn't seem to make sense that they would say specifically that's his duty, rather than it could be any clerk that's opening up and saying what the slate of electors is. Rather, his duty, as recognized by the Constitution, seems to be to assess which of these slates of electors has legitimacy and which ones don't. In which case, he did have authority there to recognize, or basically say, we have competing slates of electors, so I'm tossing both of them, and we'll continue. And then at that point, when no one's able to reach 270 votes, then there's a next step as to what we would go to. And then he would be done. That would be his role, to basically invalidate the ones where he has competing slates of electors, and that he had that authority. I feel fairly certain he had that authority. It seems that Congress felt he had that authority because after that whole question came up, months later, Congress passed a law saying, from now on, the vice president doesn't have the authority to invalidate any slates of electors. So that's why are you writing that statute if that was the law when Mike Pence was standing there on January 6, 2021? You wouldn't need to make the statute to write the law. So clearly, Congress felt it wasn't that clear that that was the law. So what was the law? And what was the law on January 6, 2021? It seems as if Congress felt that the law really did give him that power, and he just didn't take it. So I think he was very much a coward. I also question whether their law can be valid because they're basically purporting to rewrite the Constitution. It seems as if Congress is admitting that the Constitution gives an opening for the vice president to invalidate slates of electors, especially if there's an alternate slate in front of him. And they're saying, well, we're changing the Constitution that he can no longer do that. You don't have the power. The Congress doesn't have the power to do that. So all that statute they passed really does is it just serves as an admission that they thought that Mike Pence had that authority. And then he wimped out. He chickened out. He was a coward. So, yeah, that's my take on it. Brian Oldcamp gifting 20. Good Lawgic memberships. God bless you, Brian. Thank you so very much. Who did he bring on in here? Good Lawgic memberships. God bless you, Brian. Gotta silence that because I hear an echo now. I hear a whole big fat echo. Where are we? Where are these 20 brought in? The following 20 people, when I call your names, please bear in mind that courtesy of Brian Oldenkamp, Captain of Recruitment, Brian Oldenkamp, you have now become a member of the following, which is not at all a cult type of cult. And I mean it when I say that, because think about this. There's no spaceships. There's no Kool-Aid. There's no throwing virgins into volcanoes. There's no dancing around bonfires to the beat of a tom-tom while shucking off your clothing. There's no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, mild farm work, no singing from a rooftop, kumbaya, kumbaya. It's in no way, shape, or form a cult type of cult. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals who are seeking greater personal growth through community, through unity, through learning, and through thinking. Welcome. As a reflection of your enlightenment and your greater personal growth, it would be appropriate, if you have not yet done so, to express your gratitude to Brian Oldenkamp when I call out your name, because he has just gifted you membership into what is a rather exclusive and perhaps the most significant gathering which you've ever been aligned with. And that would include you, Malcolm Palm, as well as Ruth Ann 85, Kiki Lee, Mr. Mike Smokin, Rob Price, Don Boo, 679, Kathy Jeanette. Look at that, Kathy. Brian gifted you. Space Baby, Bobby Yogi, Cat 4667, Cave Dive Doc, Cro-Minion. Look at all these old school. Sorry, Cro-Minion is just giving you a thumbs up. Cro-Minion, I'm bringing you in anyway. Puppy Dogs, Cat Sap, Sherry Ward, Cat Dono, Mr. Patrick, 2471, Yan Yanso. These guys are old school. Yan Yanso, been around here for more than a minute. Baron Von Tossington and Jacker's Girl, welcome to the following. We got cookies. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that. So that wasn't that. We heard from Darnell Issa. There's other folks we should be hearing from in this one over here. While we're covering Speaker McCarthy, let's hear next from Representative Brandon Gilt. Did a similarly remarkable job in dissecting Mr. Jack Smith and helping end his career.
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and January 2021. Is that right?
I'm sorry, sir.
This is a subpoena of Kevin McCarthy, of his phone records from the phone company.
Could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November of 2020 and January 2021. How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with it.
It was 16 days after becoming the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered?
That's his toll records to see where he's traveling. Why are you worrying about where he's traveling? Why are you investigating Republicans as to where they're traveling?
A violation of the speech or debate clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll
You were collecting months worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas We did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
Speaker of the House was a flight risk. Oh my God, he might flee to the Caribbean. We got to watch this guy.
Non-disclosure order was based on concerns about.
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk?
You didn't tell the judge who he was. You just said he's like unindicted co-conspirator number 42, who's potentially a flight risk. So he's further trying to mislead the judge about who this person is. Because you think any judge would think, oh yeah, this guy's a danger. He might run if they know it's the Speaker of the House. If you think it's just some stom schmuck who's running around out there, yeah, it is. Speaker of the House, I don't think anyone really believes that that's a flight risk. But he lied to a judge and said, hey, we need these records because we need to monitor him. We need to monitor him, saying that he's a flight risk. And now he's admitting he's not a flight risk, meaning he lied to a judge in order to get these orders.
It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a
I'm sorry, I'm being corrected. It's whole records are a reference to the data from the phone. I apologize for that.
Answering the question? No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records. But I've got more, so let's move on. In May of 2023, you also issued subpoenas for toll records of 9 U.S. senators and an additional representative. Is that right?
In May of 23, we did issue.
You did, and there were non-disclosure orders in conjunction with those subpoenas as well, right?
That's correct, consistent with department policy and the law.
So again, nobody would know what you were doing. The senators would, and the representatives would, and the American people wouldn't know what you were doing. Is that right?
The toll records that we secured and the non-disclosure orders were consistent with policy and
you knew whenever you were doing that there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. Is that right?
So he knew that what he's doing here was kind of sus.
The toll record subpoenas that we secured were with the concurrence of the public integrity.
Your own analysis says that you knew there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. I have it right here. This is an email from John Keller at Public Integrity Section to your team. As you are aware, quote, as you are aware, there is some litigation risk regarding whether compelled disclosure of toll records of a member's legislative calls violates the speech or debate clause in the DC Circuit. That's from your own analysis right there.
So you knew what you were doing here was very, very sus.
So you did know, didn't you?
Sir, with respect to the item you just put up on the screen, the last sentence states...
we're going to get to the last sentence.
Okay.
We're going to get to the last sentence. And you cite case law in here, quote, the bar on compelled disclosure is absolute. Is that right? Or do you think that you didn't have to abide by that precedent?
To be clear, this statement is not from my office. This is the statement
This is your justification for those subpoenas and NDOs that you ordered. This was part of your analysis. It's a cursory analysis. I think it's worth noting. But let's get to that last sentence then. Quote, given my understanding of the low likelihood that any of the members listed below would be charged, the litigation risk should be minimal here.
So since we're not going to end up charging them, there's not really a litigation risk. It's still dodgy as all hell.
In other words, you're using a novel legal theory, which you knew was novel, has never been tested by any court. You're not charging any of these members. Nobody's going to know about it because you issued NDOs. Nobody's going to sue about it, so sue this. So who cares? We're going to do it anyways. We walked all over the Constitution throughout this entire process.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time's
spying
expired.
on members of Congress, and you know it. It's absolutely
Time.
disgraceful.
The time.
I yield back.
Gentlemen,
Nicely done, Brendan Gill. Nicely done indeed. I mean, I'm stammering away there. So he's basically misleading judges in about who it is that he's going after. The judge doesn't know who he's going after, even if it's the Speaker of the House. He's getting phone records from the Speaker of the House, and having the Speaker of the House labeled a flight risk by a judge who knows nothing about who it is we're talking about. And Jim Jordan ends up hitting him about the whole Cassidy Hutchinson thing. Who's Cassidy Hutchinson? Cassidy Hutchinson is someone who claimed this crazy invented story that she did not witness herself. They had a whole special night dedicated to Cassidy Hutchinson because there's nothing that Democrats love doing more than lapping some person who's a turncoat and basically is willing to run into their ever-loving arms and saying, I was seduced by Donald Trump. We saw his former attorney go down that road when she was charged as one of the co-defendants down in Fulton County, and she ended up pleading out in her stupid deal there. But we see that this seems to be something that they go after the women. The women tend to be the ones who, by the women, I'm including Adam Kinzinger in that group. But if you can get them to turn on Donald Trump, that all of a sudden, like, they love you so much for 10 minutes. But they love you so much when you turn. So Cassidy Hutchinson was some aide who worked in Trump administration part 1. And then after his term ended, came out and said, on January 6th, someone told me that some driver told me that when he was in the Beast, which is with a code name for his armored vehicle, leaving the rally on January 6th, that they wanted to get him away from the White House, and he wanted to go back there, and he tried jumping over the steering wheel like he's freaking TJ Hooker and grabbing front of the wheel and trying to steal the wheel, and they had to secure him down because he was like, no, we're going back there. And they're like, no, and they're wrestling him to the ground, and it's like straight out of some 1970s Bond film where he's, trying to like grab hold of the car and drive them on back to the White House, to the Capitol, wherever it is that he's trying to drive him back. And this is the tale that Cassidy Hutchinson claims. This is totally what happened. Totally what happened. I know because someone told me. And yet, all the people who were there said, what? No, nothing like that remotely happened. So Jim Jordan decided to ask Mr. Jack Smith about Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony to this effect because she was very clearly perjuring herself, and he put her up there as in suborning perjury, which is something that should cost you your law license.
You and Mr. Chairman, I yield back to you.
gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness, January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special prime time hearing, Tuesday, June 28, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She said she'd heard that from somebody.
Oh, she heard that from someone. Okay.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
As I sit here right now, I do not.
Yeah, he said it didn't happen. How about Bobby Engel? You familiar with that name?
Yes, I am.
Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day. You know what he said? He said it didn't happen.
Never happened.
And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Miss Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
We conducted, as I said before, our own independent investigation of all aspects of the case that we thought was relevant. We, attorneys from my office.
Did you ever confirm it? That's a simple question.
We interviewed, or I should say, attorneys in my office before.
Did you ever confirm the president leaping across the seat, grabbing the steering wheel, this whole concoction she brought up in the January 6th hearing? Did you ever confirm that?
Right. We interviewed another firsthand witness who was in the car who did not confirm that had happened, but also
in your deposition.
We tried confirming it. We were told that it's cockamamie BS. That's what happened. We tried looking into it. What we were told is, what? No, nothing like that ever happened. The dude's 79 when this whole thing went down. No, none of that happened.
To the committee last month, Mr. Smith, you said this: my recollection with Ms. Hutchinson was a number of the things that she gave evidence on were secondhand hearsay. You remember making that statement to us last month in the deposition?
I did, and I was referring particularly to what we're talking about now.
Yeah, and you also said Ms. Hutchinson, regarding this particular claim, was a second or even third-hand witness. We asked you, if you were a defense attorney, how would you handle cross-examining her if she was on the witness stand? And you said, if I were a defense attorney and Ms. Hutchinson were a witness, the first thing I would do was seek to preclude her testimony because it was hearsay. You remember saying all that?
That's what any attorney would do.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
That's correct, right? Were you going to put her on the witness stand if you ever got to trial?
We had not made final determinations as to who we were going to call as a witness. We had a large...
You were still considering her?
We had a large choice of witnesses in this case.
Are you familiar with what Washington Post reporters Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis said in their book? They did this book, 300-some pages book on Chronicle and the whole investigation of the Justice Department. And here's what they said. On page 310, they said Jack Smith had wondered whether some of Hutchinson's claims might be relied upon at trial. Still, at one point, Smith told the elections team he wasn't ready to give up on Hutchinson's account. Ultimately, however, Trump administration officials uniformly, fiercely disputed her accounts under oath. Prosecutors on your team told Smith they wouldn't want to use Hutchinson as a witness in court, and Smith agreed. Are Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis, who wrote this, are they lying?
My recollection is that I certainly had not made any final determinations about...
How are you? Why wouldn't you just say we weren't going to use her? Why wouldn't you just say that? Yeah, that would make sense that the beast has a partition between front and back. You know, sometimes he might want silence. So you would think that, yeah.
And who we were going to call.
And that's the point. That is the point. The fact that they used her in a primetime hearing and you won't rule out using her, or didn't rule out using her, putting her on the witness stand when everybody knows she wasn't telling the truth, that says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go.
It was because it was all about painting whatever crazy narrative they could about Donald Trump. That's what this entire January 6th thing was about, to try and make MAGA and Trump look as insane as possible. Didn't matter whether there's any truth to it. Didn't matter whether it was whether it's even believable, but it's something that their folks would believe that they were going to throw it out there like chum on the water to be swallowed up. Didn't matter who they were maligning. Didn't matter how terribly uncredible, lacking any credibility it was. They were going to throw it out there as if this was gospel.
To get President Trump, putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up. Everybody knows that. And you were willing to do. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth, and you were still considering putting her on the witness stand because you had to get President Trump. And everybody can see that. we better take a recess.
So there you go. That was Jim Jordan going after him. Someone was telling me that I need to really pull up Harriet Hageman. I haven't looked at her. She always does great work.
Unturned, even subpoenaing records. Unturned, even subpoenaing records. Unturned, even unturned, even subpoenaing.
All right. Now we got it. Now I got it.
Unturned, even subpoenaing records from sitting members of the House and Senate. So what information could the J6 committee possess that you and the nation's top law enforcement agency could not obtain on your own?
I did request JP Cooney.
What did they have that you couldn't obtain on your own?
In any investigation,
What information did they have that you were not able to obtain on your own?
I couldn't know that until I had their information.
Was there anything there? Did you find that they had information that you were not able to obtain?
I don't recall specifically every bit of information. What I can tell you is we took in their information because we wanted to collect any information that could be relevant. We made our own independent assessment of
Okay, so from the time that you were appointed as special counsel up to the date of your resignation in January of 2020.
This is Liz Cheney's replacement. It's like, wow. Wow. This is practically like going from Joe Biden to Donald Trump, going from Liz Cheney to Harriet Hageman.
25. Did you personally have any contact with any members, staff, or contractors of the House's January 6th Select Committee? And if so, who?
I do not believe I had contact with anybody personally from the January.
Okay. The January 6th committee failed to archive or preserve its video recordings of witness interviews, deleting or destroying as many as 900 interview summaries or transcripts involving more than 1 full terabyte of digital data. I repeat, the J6th committee destroyed evidence. Let that sink in. Why would they do such a thing? I think we have a dang good idea. The committee actually used selective clips from these videos and transcripts during their hearings, and yet by destroying this evidence, they have denied Congress and the public the ability to obtain their full content and context. They created their narrative by selective use of the evidence before them.
So they diced and sliced pieces that they felt would help them and basically carved out 90% that they thought was potentially bad.
So how very convenient. Did you or your team receive any of those witness transcripts or video recordings of transcribed interviews from the Select Committee that were not released to the public?
What I can tell you is that I requested JP Cooney to contact the Select Committee.
Do you know if you received any of the evidence or testimony that the J6 committee eventually destroyed?
He definitely did. He definitely did. It's a great question. It's a great question. Did you destroy it also? Where is it?
I don't have any information that the J6.
You don't know one way or the other as you sit here today.
No, what I'm telling you is that
Do you think that they would hold back anything from him when they feel like he's their best shot of getting Trump thrown in jail? Of course, they gave him everything, and said, use whatever you can to get that man thrown in prison. They gave him everything. Definitely.
Requested all the information we could get from the January 6th.
Has all of the information that you requested been preserved? All of the information from the J6 committee, has that been preserved?
The information that we requested and received, we reviewed it.
Has it been preserved?
Yes, as part
Thank
of our
you.
files. And
Were you or your team
You still have it now? So we can get it from you? What you got from them?
advised, or did you get the impression from anyone affiliated with the January 6th committee that these documents were not for public release, even though portions of them had already been shown to the American people? Were you advised to keep any of the information from the J6 committee confidential?
As I sit here right now, I don't recall that.
Okay.
I recall.
Did the J6 committee provide you with the Cassidy Hutchinson testimony as part of the trove of documents that you received?
Definitely, yes.
As I sit here now, I don't recall, but it would.
Well, you're familiar with her testimony, aren't you?
I am, and
And in fact, wouldn't you agree with me that Ms. Hutchinson's testimony, especially the most explosive allegations made, was comprised of hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay? Come on, you're an attorney, Mr. Smith. You can answer the question. Of course, it was hearsay. And hearsay isn't admissible in a court of law, is it? Why? Because it is inherently unreliable, and the victim or the target of a prosecution is not able to cross-examine. Isn't that correct? In fact, Mr. Smith, if you had attempted to walk into
She a pistol. This is a former prosecutor.
court with Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, you would have been thrown out on your ear. No judge, no legitimate judge would have ever allowed the testimony of Cassidy Hutchins
Well, Judge Chutkin probably would have mulled it over for a minute.
to be admitted in a court of law, would they?
I disagree.
Well,
Yeah,
and that we've
he's like, yeah, you don't know Chutkin. You don't know Chutkin like I know Chutkin. I can get her to it. Even though it's admissible, even though it shouldn't be in.
already talked about your record.
Mr. Chairman,
today,
Mr.
so I can
Chairman, the
understand
gentlelady's
why.
time has long
I
since
yield
expired.
back.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The gentleman from Florida.
It was fire from Harriet Hageman.
Political speech.
Let's see what we got here. What else do I have for you? And just to get a summation as to like what today was like, and where there's actually admissions from him that he knows he had no real case. Here's a clip right here, which basically shows he knew all along he really had no case against Trump. Right here.
Requirement, yes. And didn't you also acknowledge in your deposition that the president was receiving information from multiple advisors, Giuliani, Eastman, Clark, Powell, and in your deposition you said he was almost just regurgitating what they told him. Isn't that right?
I don't believe I said he was regurgitating what they told him. I think what I said is that he was making knowingly false claims, that he was believing anything that would keep him in office, and he was
right there. That's what he believed. He was believing anything that would keep him in office, meaning he doesn't realize he's committing a crime. He's believing that this is legal, which means he's not committing a crime. He doesn't have mens rea.
Right
there. Busted.
Isn't that right?
I don't believe I said he was regurgitating what they told him. I think what I said is that he was making knowingly false claims, that he was believing anything that would keep him in office.
He was believing. He was believing. You can't believe and make false statements at the same time. He could believe whatever he wanted. And a lot of us believe he was right. He never had a case, and he knew it. Prosecute this man.
Requirement, yeah.
Yep. He knew that this was a wrongful prosecution. Haven should be AG. I mean Hagerman, I assume. I assume you mean Hagerman there. Yeah, she'd be great. She would be great. A few more clips for you here. Joe should have over 500 likes. I'm going to urge you all right now. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see how many likes I got. I got 1,000 people watching right now on YouTube. I'm seeing 442 likes. I just helped you out by hitting like myself, which feels kind of gay, but okay. We should be over 500. There's 467. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. 492. All right. All right. Well done, AK Log Cabin Films. If you're watching after the fact, if you could hit like and subscribe, I would be most obliged. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's check out Chip Roy.
Is this the complete list right here?
Chip Roy showing his outrage when he says, You subpoena my records. I didn't know about this until a couple of weeks ago.
Well, let me ask you this. Am I on this list? Did you target my records and subpoena my phone toll records?
My understanding is your records were subpoenaed by prosecutors before I became special counsel.
Well, the staff would put this up on the screen. I'm thankful for the great staff who discovered the email where I learned for the first time a few weeks ago that my phone records were indeed targeted. We called AT&T and we've learned that they were given to the Department of Justice, as this email indicates, because I've been in communication with Scott Perry, one of my colleagues here in Congress, who literally had his phone taken from him in front of his family. And of course, as we've already talked about in this document, it talks about you could be in violation of the privilege by even obtaining and possessing this information if the member objected to the disclosure. This happened 4 years ago in May of 2022, and I couldn't object because I didn't know. I didn't know until about 3 weeks ago.
How do you not inform me? How do you not inform me? That's what Chip Roy wants to know. You're not supposed to be doing that. Representative Lance Gooden had all sorts of questions about his whole swearing in, that he knew that he was acting illicitly and not complying with the law, and that Merrick Garland knew this too. Yes, former AG Merrick Garland knew about it.
Mr. Smith, on November 18th, 2022, AG Garland appointed you as special counsel. Can you tell me about your swearing in or the oath of office that you took after that?
I don't recall the specifics of it.
Lie. There's no such thing as a person who would not remember that moment. Everyone would remember that moment. Okay? Everyone would remember that moment. That is an outright lie. He's pretending he doesn't remember something that happened 3 years ago, as a swearing in that happened 3 years ago. No. I remember my swearing in to become an attorney from 26 years ago, 27 years ago. No. That is crap. That is crap. You've just been appointed to go after President Trump, and you're being sworn in, and you don't remember who did it, where you were, what was going on, who was in the room? Lie. Flat out lie.
I know I was sworn in. I don't recall the specifics of how that was done.
You don't remember who swore you in?
I don't.
Would you?
No way that's possible. Impossible.
You agree that taking the oath of office is a legal requirement for the job that you had?
I've taken oaths of office regularly. I haven't researched whether it's required or not, but I've done that, I think, in every government case.
It is required. Terms I heard earlier today were atypical, irregular, no proper procedure. Yet in your opening statement, you said that we followed Justice Department policies, and I would assume you meant the law as well. It strikes me as odd that you don't remember who swore you in, how you were sworn in. It's pretty significant. We all get sworn in here, and I remember every day. You don't remember who swore you in.
I don't remember the details of it as I sit here today.
But you did take the oath of office before you got rolling.
I think my recollection is it was when I was appointed.
It was when. It strikes me as odd that Attorney General Garland had you retake the oath of office on the 14th of September of the following year. Why did he make you do that?
That is curious. Why?
As I sit here right now, I do not recall. I know that there is the oath of office that I signed.
Lie, because this was obviously a whole conversation that they had. It wouldn't just be like, oh, okay, I'll be sworn in again. No, this is a conversation. He is flat out lying here.
I believe it was on the 18th, the day that I was appointed. And I know the department had me do a second one. I don't know the particulars of why they asked me to do it again, but I know
you signed it on the 20th of November 22nd, November 2022, but there was no witness, which, I mean, you have to agree, it's a little odd. If there's no witness saying that you took the oath of office, it would maybe make someone like me question whether or not you were legitimately doing the job until you finally took the oath of office. It sounds like the Attorney General had the same question and thought, oh shit, we got to have him sign this on the 14th day of September of the following year. So why did you take the oath of office again on the 14th of September of the following year when you say you took the office in November of 2022? Why'd you need to do it twice?
My recollection is that I took the oath of office, as you said, it was the 18th or the 20th, and felt I was under the oath of office. I believe.
I never made the oath, but I felt I was under the oath of office. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he got sworn in.
If you have it in front of you, I think I signed an oath.
You signed it, but there was no witness. There was supposed to be either notarized or a witness. And apparently Attorney General Garland thought it was significant enough to have you do another oath 11 months later. That's strange, right?
I don't know why they asked me to sign it again. I don't recall ever discussing this issue with Attorney General Garland.
Not possible.
Well, that is just wild to me.
It's not just wild. That's just not possible. That's definitely not true. I don't know what's going on there. That's not what happened. And we should take a moment to focus on the clown in chief who is sitting in there watching this whole thing go down. And this is Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone, hero of the left, who's basically a deranged lunatic. He is a deranged lunatic. Taking another oath of office just like renewing your marriage vows, right? I think I would remember that if I did that. I think I would remember that. I think they probably had questions about his legitimacy. I think that's what it was. I don't know. You're asking a good question. It's going to show the whole way he's supposed to be appointed is he's supposed to be appointed by, the way you get to that position is you get appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. He never went through any of that. That's why the case in Florida was tossed out, because it was never confirmed. So this entire thing was a very weird scenario that was trying to basically ignore the entire Constitution and what his authorities were under the Constitution, and just sort of make him as if he's some sort of special person or something of that nature. He's never been confirmed by the Senate for any position. And here he is acting as special counsel. So normally you would get confirmed and then sworn in. So I don't understand. I mean, I think it reveals just how dicey everything about his appointment was. But listen to this embarrassment of himself, Michael Fanone.
I would like to quickly address the police officers of January 6th. Mr. Don, Mr. Fanone, Mr. Gonell, Mr. Hodges. I'm a member of the new select committee to actually examine what happened that day. And I can tell.
This is Michael Fanone over here in the black t-shirt with the green writing on it. That's Michael Fanone. Look what this jackass does.
Tell you, gentlemen, that the fault does not lie with Donald Trump. It lies with Yogananda Pittman and the U.S. Capitol leadership team. We know they had the intelligence, and there was.
You look at this guy sitting in the gallery doing this whole coughing GFY. Like, what a jackass.
Going to be a high propensity for violence that day. Claim my time, yeah.
You will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. We've had some disruptions already. We don't need that. Let the gentleman may continue.
We know.
What an embarrassment this dude is. And that's not the extent of his embarrassment. He spent all day doing that. I'm no Ivan Raiklin fan, but this is a wild confrontation. Fanone needs to be charged.
Hey, Michael. Hey, what's up, buddy? Ivan Raiklin. Why do you have to swear at me? What's that? Why do you have to swear at me? Oh, dude, don't pretend like we're not mortal enemies. Go fuck yourself.
I don't know who Ivan Raiklin is. Should I know who is Ivan Raiklin? American far-right political operative and former Army reservist. He's the progenitor of the Pence card, which he tweeted to President. This is according to Wikipedia. To President Trump on December 16th, who in turn retweeted, which outlined a dubious legal theory to overturn results. It's not dubious. It's actually a very intelligent one. To overturn the result of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. It wasn't the actual result. To overturn the declared result due to repeatedly refuted claims of widespread election fraud, which was the precursor for the Eastman memos. Longtime associate Michael Flynn. Raiklin is a former lieutenant colonel Army reservist, having served as a Green Beret and a former employee of the Defense Intelligence Agency. All right, fine.
Well, why do you have to lose your cool like that? I've been always professional with you. I'm not losing my cool. Every single time I communicate with you, I am always professional with you. And it requires other people to contain your Tourette's syndrome. Okay?
You're my nemesis. You're my nemesis. Look at this lunatic.
I'm not going to get threatened. You've threatened my family and you've threatened my
life.
Have
You're
I?
a traitor to this fucking country.
Why
Go
are you
fuck
so
yourself.
spasmodic?
Am I spasmodic?
Absolutely.
Fucking do
Look
something.
behind you.
Do something.
Why should I? I'm communicating with you and trying to calm you down. Right? Look at your face and picture. You can't even control yourself. You can't even be a man.
Trust me, I'm using a lot
You
of
see how
restraint
many
right now.
people are constraining you?
Come get me.
Look at me.
Come get me.
Total control over my mind and body. Total control over my mind and body, and I'm totally dominating you right now.
Sir.
Totally dominating you right now.
Sir, let's step aside.
I'm not.
This guy
I'm
has
just
threatened
standing here.
my family, threatened my
I'm just
children,
standing here.
threatened to rape my children.
Oh,
Rape
really
my
now?
children, you
What?
sick
Look at
bastard.
him.
What?
Rape my children.
More people need to contain him. 'Cause I'm completely.
He's a freaking lunatic, this guy.
Listen.
He looks like a friggin' lunatic. He looks like a friggin' lunatic. This was him afterwards. This is Michael Fanone after the fact.
I'm great.
This psychopath.
Officer Fanone, how are you today?
I'm great.
What happened in there?
What are you talking about?
That confrontation.
Jack Smith testified
you're-
about how he had proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump incited, orchestrated, and funded the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
It seemed like there was a fight in there.
No, there was no fight.
Is it true, Officer Fanone, that you turned off your own body camera on January 6th?
No.
I don't know anything about this. Do you guys know about this? About him turning off his own body camera? And what she's about to follow up with, I don't even know anything about this.
I saw your body cam. You turned it off yourself. You were playing dead. I saw your body cam footage.
You're a fucking
What am I?
right-wing conspiracy theorist.
I saw you turn off your body cam footage, sir. But thank you for disrespecting me. Psychopath. Officer Fanone.
So I guess if you turn off your, that's what happens when someone dies, is that their body cam goes off? Is that what happens? Is that what happens? Their body cam goes off automatically? I was unaware of that. Yeah, I don't think that. So I don't know why she's saying that. I don't understand. The whole exchange is weird, but he does look like a psychopath. Even CNN is now turning on Jack Smith after his House Judiciary testimony. I'm telling you, his career is over. I'm going to review afterwards all the different things we got from this guy today. Normally, it's Dog and Pony show. I really think he hurt himself greatly today. CNN legal analyst Eli Honig zeroed in on the moment Republicans cornered Smith over rushing the Trump case right before the 2024 election, and Smith had no answer. Last Congressman we saw brought up the fact that Jack Smith demanded a trial date 4 months out, 5 months out, in case involving 13 million pages of documents. Let's hear this.
Demanded a trial date 4 months out.
And Chuck can want to go along with it because she's a lunatic.
To your question, Brianna, the last Congressman we saw brought up the fact that Jack Smith demanded a trial date 4 months out, 5 months out, in a case involving 13 million pages of documents. There is no defense lawyer in the country who can constitutionally prepare for trial and defend his client in that short a time frame. And the implication was you were rushing to get this in before the 2024 election. Jack Smith did not defend himself, by the way. He didn't say a word about that, which I found straight. Yeah, it's true, right?
It's true.
Exactly.
I mean,
and he didn't defend himself
before the election.
Exactly. And Jack Smith has always maintained this veneer that he never thought about the election. Of course he did. Why would you demand such a quick trial date? To your question, Brianna.
So this is what we got. This is what we got. He is someone who is so desperate to go after Donald Trump and throw any story out there that he's willing to throw out something that is obvious hearsay that everyone realizes is BS in the story of Cassidy Hutchinson, a story which was pure hearsay. No regular judge in the country would ever consider admitting her as a witness. But he figured, hey, I can get this through with Judge Chutkan. That's first and foremost. Complete and total BS, refuted by everyone there who was actually inside the beast at the time that Trump allegedly tried co-opting it and jumping over the barricade to start, I don't know, driving without his legs straight to the Capitol. And that crazy cockamamie, who the hell thinks there's even a drop of truth to this story, which was a primetime feature for days. This was all the news cycle. Oh my God, we have testimony that Trump tried taking over the beast and driving straight to the Capitol so he can join his friends in taking a siege on the insurrection. This is this insane narrative that everyone realized was insane, that she admitted she wasn't there, and that all the people who were there say this never ever happened, and he was thinking about putting her up on the trial. I understand, and thought he can convince a judge, which in this case, Judge Chutkan, and given how she continually ruled in his favor, you can understand why he thought that maybe, hey, she's giving me everything else. Why wouldn't she give me this too? Because she was so twisted against Trump herself. So we have him lying too. So he's basically acting in an insane manner, trying to just ignore basic rules of evidence because he's that desperate to get this conviction. This is when he comes in there under some dubious circumstances that he never actually seemed to have properly been sworn in. He's ignoring questions about violating the speech and debate clause by deceiving a judge, duping a judge into not realizing that this judge is signing off on obtaining phone records of sitting senators, sitting members of the House, and keeping it all hush-hush and deceiving this judge so the judge doesn't even realize what the hell, who they're signing off on, and labels the Speaker of the House a potential flight risk. That maybe if we got to make sure that Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, doesn't learn about this investigation, because if they learn about this investigation, he might flee to some country which would refuse to extradite him to us. That's what the Speaker of the House is so likely to do. This is how did he do that? By misleading a judge into thinking that this is something that's actual or genuine possibility, while admitting on the stand today under oath that the reality is that Kevin McCarthy was never at all a flight risk, which means that when he was submitting his affidavit to the judge, he was misleading the judge. He's basically saying he's willing to suborn perjury with respect to putting Cassidy Hutchinson up there because he knows that that story is crap. He knew it had made no sense, but he's perfectly happy to throw her up there. And he's acting without actual authority while misleading judges. And then he's also he's also supposed to be this whole independent investigator, but has no explanation for why it is that he's trying to cram up this insanely bloated trial information, 13 million documents, giving them literally no time at all to review, that we have to have the trial now before the election, which is no reason to say that unless your objective is to try and skunk his election in 2024. These are all the admissions that came out, that he basically was a hired hack who wouldn't mind suborning perjury, doesn't have any qualms about deceiving judges, doesn't have any qualms about, hiding who it is he's going after or lying about the potential of them being a flight risk. All of these things are things that if he was in a normal jurisdiction would have him see individually a suspension of his license and collectively likely a revocation of his license, and almost certainly he's not going to face that because, let's face it, these bar associations tend to be very left-leaning, and they are very unlikely to actually give any punitive measures to him. Quite the contrary. We saw Easterman lose his license because he had the audacity to give legal advice that they did not like. So he lost his law license in California because how dare you give legal advice that we disagree with, even though I think that his legal advice probably was accurate. So that's the reality of the lay of the land. The lay of the land is that the Bar Association is very left-leaning, and one state after another, after another, after another. It's a group of Ivy League left-leaning liberal elitists. So they all love Jack Smith. His license is in no jeopardy at all. I'm telling you right now, they all understand that this guy is a joke. He came out today as a joke. This was a humiliation for him. His tactics and methods that he used while having this fig leaf veneer of no, I'm trying to do this all properly and independently because I care about justice. I care about the law, and no man is above the law. When he basically revealed today that this was never about the law, this was about a persecution of Donald Trump, and that's why he was so desperate to try, and that this was an effort to skunk his ability to win re-election in 2024. So damn the Constitution and the regulations about being sworn in properly, being approved properly, being confirmed by a Senate, appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. To hell with that. To hell with being sworn in properly. To hell with being honest with a judge about who it is that the judge is signing off and allowing you to access the records. To hell with who cares about lying to a judge that a Speaker of the House is a potential flight risk. Forget the speech and debate clause issues. To hell with that. No one cares about that because I have some theory that no, this is totally okay. Let's try. I'll throw up there suborning perjury and throwing Cassidy Hutchinson out there, which has four cells of gray matter understands that there's no way in hell her story made any sense at all, was pure hearsay, and that no real judge who's actually thinking about it with any sort of objectivity would think for a second that she could be admitted as a witness in this trial, and that he's feeling, you know what, I think I convinced Judge Hutchinson to get her up there. Why would you want to be putting her up there when you know she's full of crap? And it's all hearsay. And it's been refuted by the actual witnesses to the event. Every one of them saying this never, ever happened. I don't know how anyone could cock such a cockamamie ridiculous story. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to put up there. So, and finally, the piece de resistance is all those records that the J6 Select Committee turned over to him as they were salivating, saying, please find some way to have him thrown in prison. So apparently he still has all their records. They destroyed their copies, but he presumably still has a copy, which we can still get, which that's actually really awesome. That's really awesome. But the piece and the final nail as far as proving that what this guy has been about since day one is that he demanded that 13 million documents, 13 million pages, that they should have 4 months or less to review 13 million pages in preparation for trial, which is utterly impossible. Utterly impossible. You have 100 attorneys there going through 13 million pages in 3 months. Ridiculous. So he was exposed today. This was a really humiliating day for him. Does that mean he's never going to get hired by some crazy leftist rag? No, that's certainly possible that he will. Adam Kinzinger, got his McDonald's job. I'm sure he can get some job somewhere also. This guy's career, as far as like actually being a prosecutor or anything of that nature, no, he became a walking joke today, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer puppet. From my way of thinking. 70,000 pages a day. Ridiculous. All right. Spud says it was double secret OT. Probably. I am going to land my plane here, but I will be here, God willing, on Friday. Make sure you follow me over at goodlogic.locals.com so you know what time I'm going to be starting on Friday. That's courtesy of Liz, who came out and was like, sorry, not Friday, Saturday, not Friday. I will not be here Friday, but I will be here Saturday night. Saturday night, I will be here. Saturday night. That is what I said, right? I didn't say Friday. I would never have said, did I say Friday? Saturday night, yeah. I mean, Friday night makes no sense at all. I don't work Friday night. Saturday night, I will be here doing my next show. So I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to remind you. It was Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat. You're my nemesis. You're my arch nemesis. Michael Fanone, what a walking joke. I will see you all, God willing, on Saturday night. Please make sure while you're here, like, subscribe, drop a comment, because it feeds the algorithm, and it's a hungry algorithm. So we all got to feed it sometime. And I'll remind you, that the lab meat was never meant for you; it's meant for they, them. And do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. I thank you all for joining me as always. Have a good night. Godspeed.